Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. It's TPM5 here, back again with another NBA video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Chicago Bulls, why I believe they'll make the playoffs next season. So without further ado, let's get started. Last season, the Chicago Bulls had a 31-41 record, which was the 11th best record in the Eastern Conference. Now, Zach Levine led the way like he had the year before as well in terms of points, averaging 27.5 points, and then also 5 rebounds and 5 assists, so also, providing a bit more balance to his game. He's improved a little bit on the defensive side of the floor, but that is probably the one flaw that you can see with him. And obviously they added Vucevic in exchange for like 2 future draft picks, and then Wendell Carter Jr. was one of the key pieces to go in that trade as well. But they still maintained a lot of key pieces in this offseason that did see them shake it up a bit. Now the Chicago Bulls, as you know, were very active throughout the free agency period, bringing in Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, and then doing a sign and trade for Daniel Tice, and then also, probably the biggest move for them this offseason, Demar Derozan, which gives them what some people would call a big three in the Eastern Conference. And personally, I think that is a big three. But just a quick break, guys. I make NBA content 2 to 3 times a week. I've been making it very consistently throughout the off season, and I'm going to make more videos for other teams as well. So if you're not a fan of the Bulls, subscribe because I'll have something out for you in the near future. And just a quick thank you to my subscribers watching. And yeah, let's continue with the video. Throughout the last couple of years, the Bulls have been a mediocre to poor team in terms of offensive and defensive rating. They were 11th out of 30 teams in 2021, and then obviously 19th, or towards the bottom third of the league in terms of offensive rating. Now the Bulls did address that by adding Lonzo Ball as part of a sign trade, which basically saw them get rid of some bits and pieces that weren't too valuable, but I think they did part ways with the first rounder as well. Now, on a 4-year deal worth 85 million, he'll be making a tick over 20 million for the next 4 years. I think he gives a lot of, change to the Bulls, and he also strengthens a lot of their weaknesses. What he'll be able to bring to them consistently is a defensive presence in the guard spots. So now Zach Levine won't have to, have as much of a, task on that side of the floor, and you can kind of hide him away. He's an elite ball handler, and he's a playmaker on the offensive end, consistently being able to find his teammates throughout his career. So he's a great addition to the team, and he will add wins to the team by himself. Now the Lakers did let go of Alex Caruso, so the Bulls did swoop and sign him to a 4-year, $37 million contract. He's going to have a bigger role than he ever did with the Lakers, and I expect him to, have an impact for them. Consistently, he can make them a couple threes here and there. Can step up in the moments, and he also, as a person that did watch a lot of the Lakers, someone that brings all that grit and determination. I think every team needs a guy like that. Now, continuing with the moves, now Daniel Tice was signed and traded to the Houston Rockets, I believe, and a trade exception was picked up from that. So the Houston Rockets gave the Bulls a sign and trade, which is expected to be worth around 10 million, which might not seem like much, but that will allow them some flexibility if they need to make changes on this roster. Now, the marquee move was getting Demar Derozan, a 3-year, $85 million deal. He took a sign and trade, and Thaddeus Young, a future first, 2 future seconds, were what it took to get him. So obviously, Thaddeus Young will be going off to the Spurs. He was a key, he was a pretty decent piece for them, but he was involved in a lot of trade rumors, so it's not really a surprise to see him get shipped out. There's been a lot of talk about DeMar DeRozan's game dropping, but I think that he's still a very key part of any winning team in the NBA. He averaged 22 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists, and ever since the 2012-13 season, his points per game tally hasn't dropped below 20, and something, that trend I believe he'll continue. He'll be another key option for them. It does become a slight issue when it comes to spacing the floor, adding both DeMar and Lonzo Ball, but I think that between Vucevic being able to shoot fairly well for an NBA center and Zach Levine's all-around scoring ability, that can be hidden a bit, and I think it won't kill them too much. So now I'm just going to run through the depth chart, so the starting lineup, or the projected starting lineup, and then some of the bench pieces they can have as well. So Lonzo Ball at the point guard, he averaged 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists last year, someone that a lot of Pelicans fans aren't too happy to see go. Obviously, he's going to be a very important player for them, and he will add wins to this team by himself. Zach Levine, as I mentioned before, obviously another great year. This is, his contract expires after this season, so, look for the Bulls to extend him. Now, Patty Williams can also add some defensive versatility. He averaged 9 points and 5 rebounds in his rookie year, along with, I think, a block per game. He's a very important part of their team, even if he doesn't score much. He can be a kind of stopgap when it comes to Levine's defensive issues. Demar Derozan possibly at the four, obviously improving himself as a playmaker, and yeah, still averaging over 20 points. Nikola Vucevic, who I haven't talked too much about, 23 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, was consistent throughout his time in Orlando, and I believe that, a lot of people look at the record the Bulls had last year after they got him, but that's very out of context considering that the roster they had was kind of a bit weakened by trading for him, and he was also without Zach Levine. Kobe White is a six-man type of guy. He averaged 15 points and 5 assists last year. Troy Brown Jr., Tony Bradley, Alex Caruso, Javonte Green, Devin Dotson, and then also Ayu Dosunmu. If I butchered that, I'm sorry. And then they look to fill out the rest of the roster. There probably is a need for another backup center, but that is something they'll address in time. I think the Bulls are a long way away from those losing seasons with frustrating coaches like Jim Boylan. I think that this roster they have is going to be competitive in an ever-improving Eastern Conference, and I think a top 6 seed is probably a pass mark for them. Now that's it for the video, guys, so please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also comment what you thought, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.